Thank you for joining us again. For the first time in the past 60 years, there is a realistic possibility of dollar being rivaled by other currencies as a reserve, as the US dollar has been the world's primary reserve currency since the 60s. Under the Bretton Woods system, the dollar was pegged to gold and most other currencies were pegged to the dollar. And as a result of this arrangement, dollars were used as the main intervention currency and hence reserve currency. However, member countries of the Brics economic interest bloc, which comprises Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa, have proposed having their reserve currency, which many analysts say could have global economic implications, with Nigeria in the fray. While some critics of the policy indicate that the economic growth trajectories of Brics have been so uneven and the group lacks clear unifying ideological principles or a shared vision for managing the global order. To help us understand this now, let's bring our guest, Mr. Samson Owolabi. He's a research analyst from Air Security Limited. Thank you for joining us now. We appreciate you for coming on board. Hello, Mr. Owolabi, can you hear me? Well, I guess perhaps we're having difficulties now, but that, of course, will be our conversation today as we look at the currency plan, or will I say Brics Reserve Currency Plan, assessing economic implications on Nigeria's financial sector. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Owolabi. We appreciate your time. First of all, I would like you to, talk to us. Let's get your point on this development. What does this mean, especially this proposed policy, to a layman understanding? I need you to break it down for us.
Okay, so thank you very much. So for just a layman to understand this, so generally we all understand the fact that the US dollar is the major currency in which almost 80% of the foreign reserve of countries around the world have their foreign reserve in dollar. And one thing about it is because the dollar is the major currency that almost all the countries around the world used to trade on the foreign exchange markets, is the predominant currency, and as we stated before, it is backed against the gold and oil. So the dollar is something that is very, very significant and important in the market. However, the Brics decided that they formed this alliance. The major goal of why they formed the Brics, which is an organization that consists of countries like Brazil, India, Russia, and also South Africa. So all these and China, all these countries, they come around just to form an organization with a common interest of developing yourself and also developing their market and having this kind of a trade alliance just to
Okay, I think having just getting nervous with, let's not start again with these disruption or distortion of the conversation. Well, I don't know if you can hear me. Why do you think, but I needed you to land on that thought, but perhaps you can hear me so that you can do this together. Why is the Brics, taking this move? Why are they making this move at this time? Brazil, Russia, you have South Africa, China, so India as well. So why are they making this move? Can they survive this?
Okay, so the reason why they are making this move is something that we can all we can, as much as we want to dispute that fact, is also glaring that there's a political interest in that move. They just believe that over the years dollar has been the major currency that people have been being the major currency for foreign exchange, and they just decide that let us have another currency that is going to counter, is going to compete with the dollar. And when you look at these countries, when you look at the relationship between China, Russia, and the US, you realize that there's been this kind of a fracture in the relationship. So they are trying to look for a way to have another currency that is going to be independent and is going to be able to compete with the dollar, just to make trade and also to reduce the impact of sanctions and the possibility of the US having to sanction them based on some of their political decisions. So it's all these things are one of the major reasons why they are going into this and trying trying to like set up this currency right now.
Okay, we're talking a little bit about the direct impact or implication on Nigeria's economy. But let's look at some people or some expert opinion. Some say they lack clear unifying ideological principles. So do you share this vision, or I mean, do you share the same position for managing the global order? Because they say they lack unifying clear vision to manage a global order, especially as the U.S. Is still the world power. So talk to us.
Well, so concerned that I will not say that they lack that unifying power. Despite the fact that all these countries, they have like different let's say economic condition, and their own different economic status. When we look at their profile, what I would just say is that this is a particular organization that have been set up for a very long time now. It's close to like 10 years now, and they have been together. And also we've seen instances of countries trying to like join them. It started with 4, by the way, and then it was South Africa joined them. So they've also had a lot of countries trying to like join also. However, they have limited the entry for some time now. So I think they have been strategic enough, and they have not been making.
Hello, Samson. Oh dear, Samson, are you there? Okay, I'm not sure if Samson can hear me, but if you can hear me, I'd like you to talk about direct implication and impact of this development on Nigeria's economy. Are you there, Samson? Okay, once you can establish connection with Samson Owolabi, of course we'll continue the conversation. But let's quickly take a break now. I'll be back in a moment. It's still Business Breakfast. Please stay with us. Okay, we have Samson Owolabi now back online. So talk to us now. I was asking you to talk to us about the direct implication and impact to Nigeria's economy. Any direct implication?
Okay, well, if you want to look at the direct implication and impact, then we have to understand that what kind of relationship do these countries have with Nigeria. And when we look at the trade, we have to look at the terms of like the foreign trade, and also the kind of how we interact, the business that we do with these countries. And we know that Nigeria like has a very good relationship with countries like China and Russia, which China and India rather. So when we look at all this, we can see that when we look at the foreign trade and goods statistics that was released by the National Bureau of Statistics of Nigeria, we can see that we have a relationship with countries like China and India significantly in terms of imports and exports. So when we look at this, we'll see that any policy that these countries do make is going to affect us. So that.
Okay, I hope we do prosecute this conversation to the very latter end. Something, well, I'm not sure I could hear you anymore, but are you there? I needed to land on that thought, please.
I can hear you very well.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, please go on.
So as I was saying something that concerning that you have to look at the trade relationship that Nigeria has with some countries like China and India, and you can see that we have a lot of like transactions going between us in terms of import and exports, according to the report released by National Bureau of Statistics and the Foreign Trade in Goods report. So when you look at this, you understand the fact that whatever they do, the kind of policies that they make is going to affect us. So what thing I'm just going to say is that in as much as it's going to affect us, we still need to like take a breather at the moment, see how their decisions are going to go and what they are going to do in the short term. We should not allow the hidden effects to affect us right now. So we just have to like wait and see how things are going on, and then we'll now know the main decision. But this is just like still a proposal. It has not been finalized. Okay. Are you with me?
Okay, yes, it's still a proposal. It's not been finalized. So we talked about African ecosystem, African currency ecosystem some times ago. Do you think that is still in the conversation?
Well, it is still just, we in Africa, we have an history of which is not really a very good one, of like trying to like do some things and then we will not complete it. we can see how there's so many initiatives and also plans that have been like developed over the years that okay, we want to do this, we want to do this. However, you also see that all these plans have not been like fulfilled and they have not really like executed them. So this is just part of this unifying currency. It's just part of it again. It's just something that they've like raised up, but based on people. These countries not having like reaching an agreement is one of the reasons why these have not like been implemented. But with the news, but what we've been hearing in the news and also recent developments is not really something that is really like cogent or really in the move on the move rather right now. So it's still like just in the background.
Okay, you talked about the fact that this was only a proposal, right? And of course it's not yet it's not taking off. But I mean, there was, for instance, in 2015 there was a launch of Brics banks in Shanghai, China. So which means perhaps this, of course, has started in reality as well. So, but once we have these kickoff globally, because you're going to have it, because China, it's a world power on its own. Of course, it's the second largest economy in the world behind US. So they have a say. Russia is also another, world power when it comes to, a regional power. Okay, so they also have a say as well. India is also another, big market. And so what is going to be the impact of these on a global scale, on a global economy? Do you think that it will relegate the dollar to the background?
Well, I do not think it's going to relegate the dollar to the background because when we look at the history of dollar, the dollar has been like very consistent over time. Okay. And when we look at some countries, what every country and every investor tends to do is that they tend to look at something that is stable and reliable, and the dollar has shown this over time. And even during the COVID and also the Russia-Ukraine conflict, when central banks started hiking interest rate, we can see that the dollar has remained like stable and are still like relatively strong over time. So the aspect of the fluctuations that is not in dollar is giving the dollar this kind of a credibility in the market. So it's not if they decide to like let's say enforce these and then they bring this general currency, it's not something that you just see that is going to push the dollar away just like that. It's not really like easy like that, because 80% of transactions over the world is still like being conducted in dollars. So and the FX market, so dollar is like something that has been there over time. So if they bring this in, it's something that has to like take a lot of process and also take a lot of steps before it can now really like affect. You can now say that okay, it's going to like let's say compete majorly with the dollar, but from what I'm saying right now, I don't think it's something that is going to enter the market and then it's going to like just shift the dollar aside.
Oh, okay. So how best do you think Nigeria, should address or should position for this? Because by the time this eventually launches, you're going to have Nigeria, transact in these currencies, because we do business with China, we do business with India as well, especially China and India are the major major countries that we do business with, apart from South Africa, and so I'm not sure of how much we are with Brazil and Russia, but of course India and China are major. So do you think they will be forced to transact in these currencies? Talking about Nigeria.
Well, so in terms of Nigeria, if it happens and they reach an agreement that okay, this is the currency that they are going to be using for their international trade, well, Nigeria will have to like use that currency. However, I do not think it's something that is going to like really like be a negative news for Nigeria, because number one, is going to like reduce the pressure that that dollar has over the naira. So we are not trying to
Hello, Samson. Can you hear me? Are you there? Oh dear. Well, I guess we're winding down already, but I really want to.
Can you hear me?
Okay.
I can hear you very well.
Okay, please go ahead and land on that thought.
Okay, so as I was saying, we have to like when we look at this, it's something that over time is not going to like really have a negative effect on Nigeria because it's going to reduce the pressure that the US dollar has over the Nigerian naira, and we're going to have to like have another currency that we're trading with. So it's not really going to be like a negative news for Nigeria from what I in right now. However, as I've said, also it's just still like a development that we still have to like look at and just like take a breather and take a logical step towards it. But from what I've seen and from the data and from the statistics, it's not going to like have a negative effect on the Nigerian naira.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I actually wanted to also to know because some experts believe that the proposed impact of the Brics reserve currency cannot be ignored at all globally. So while others are stressing the need to diversify Nigeria's reserves and reduce dependence on the dollar, some people are saying, look, if you don't do this now, if you don't take a stand, if you don't diversify your economy, you may run at a risk. Even though you have said it will not have a negative effect, but some people are saying there could be new development, and then so what do you think Nigeria should start doing in terms of diversification of its reserves?
Well, in the case of Nigeria, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Please go ahead.
In the case of Nigeria, I think we still have structural issues that are like on ground that we need to tackle. And if we have a structural issues, pending structural issues on ground, and we have not really tackled that, it's now that then that we will not have issues in the external markets. However, if we have a strong base already, and we have our like GDP, and we have our economic factors and indicators working very well, by the time all these issues come on board, is something that we can easily transition and work towards it. But if we have our structural issues, our protracted concerns right now, is going to like make it harder for us. So what I just think is that Nigeria right now, we need to like focus on what we have on the ground now. We need to focus on what we have presently right now. We have a new administration coming in. We have issues that we need to resolve. If we resolve that one now, then we cannot shift our focus to something else, to this particular issue. But this is not like in place right now. And there's something in the market. There's a particular way that people react to news. There's as I've said also, there's this hidden bias that when some people hear a particular news, they just want to follow the trend and just move in that direction without analyzing the situation properly and very well. So it's something that we cannot just say that, oh, let's quickly go into the market, let's quickly do this, let's quickly just mitigate this. We need to like take a strategic step towards it. That's my own view concerning that.
Okay, a good place to leave it. Thank you so much for your time, Samson Owolabi, investment research analyst at ARM Securities Limited. Thank you for your time on the program. We appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Still to come after the break. Of course, we'll take a look at the commodities market, of course, the oil market, and of course, the stock equities market as well. Details in a moment. Please stay with us.